So this passage parsha, we have the spies being sent out to go inspect the land. And of course, it's one of the most challenging stories in the Torah. These are like great heroes, leaders of the tribes, great sages, and they say a negative report about the land, and the Jewish people are condemned to spend 40 years, 1 year corresponding to each day that the spies were reconnoitering the land. And the question that I wanted to pose is that when the Torah begins to list the names of the 12 spies, it tells us that one of the spies was, had their names changed. And that's Joshua. Joshua was originally called Hoshea, and Moshe renamed him. Said, "You're not Hoshea, you're Yehoshua." He added a letter to his name. Why did Moshe change Joshua's name? So Rashi quotes from the Talmud that the word Yehoshua means God will save you. God will save. And Moshe was saying that God is going to save you from the evil plot of the spies. Joshua is Moshe's protege, and he wants to save him from the evil plot of the spies. So, of course, that raises a whole bevy of questions. Wait a minute. If Moshe knows that there's spies, that the spies have bad intentions, why is he sending them? Why is he voluntarily sending the people to go inspect the land when he knows that there is a plot, there's a scheme that is afoot here with the spies? Why is he sending them if he knows that there's a bad plot? But the question that I want to ask is, Moshe is praying, may God save you from the evil plot of the spies, but he's praying for only one of the 12 spies that are going to inspect the land. What about the rest of them? Why is he not praying for the rest of them? That was the question that I had. And I saw various answers. One of the answers that I saw was from the Sforno. Sforno is one of the great commentaries in the Torah. He says that no, Moshe wasn't only praying for Joshua, that God should save Joshua. Moshe was praying that God should save Joshua and that Joshua should save the rest of them. So when he renamed him Yehoshua, it wasn't just to save him independently. It was actually that he should be nominated to keep the rest of the spies in check. He should save others. Joshua is going to be Moshe's man on the inside. He's going to curb the worst impulses of the spies. That's what this verse says. He wasn't just praying for Joshua. He was appointing Joshua to be in charge of the rest of them. So here's the question. Did Joshua succeed or did Joshua fail at this mission? Moshe says, okay, I know that something's awry here. These spies have some nefarious intentions. I'm going to appoint Joshua to be in charge. He'll make sure that they don't go too far off course. But what happens? They go terribly off course. And they cause the Jewish people to be condemned to 40 years of wandering in the wilderness. So Joshua apparently failed miserably in the mission that he was entrusted. Moshe tells Joshua, you go make sure that the spies don't go awry. And they go off the course big time. Joshua's a failure. And then I realized that Joshua has been mentioned 4 times in the Torah up to this point. And each one of them is him failing. Where's the first time Joshua appears in the Torah? Does anyone know the first time Joshua appears in the Torah? The first time Joshua appears in the Torah is right after the Jewish people leave Egypt. They have a war with Amalek, this arch nemesis of the Jewish people. And Moshe tells Joshua, get some followers, get some fighters. Tomorrow we're going to have a war with Amalek. Moshe goes on top of the mountain. He has Aaron on one side, Hur on the other side, they're holding up his hands, and Joshua and his people are fighting Amalek in the valley below. That's the story at the end of Parshas Beshalach. So what happens in this war? So the Jewish people win the war. But if you read the story, it's clear that it's not a total victory. The verse says that Joshua weakened Amalek in war. Now we know, it's a mitzvah in the Torah, that we have to utterly annihilate Amalek. So Joshua wins the war, but he leaves the nemesis alive. And all the trouble we've had with Amalek ever since, we can really pin the blame on Joshua. He only weakened them, he didn't utterly destroy them. So the first time Joshua appears in the Torah, it's a failure. Yes, he wins the war, but he leaves the enemy alive to regroup and attack us again and again and again throughout our history. So the first time he appears is apparently a blunder. Well, where's the next time that Joshua appears in the Torah? The next time Joshua appears in the Torah is, I believe it's chapter 32 or 33 of Exodus. Moshe goes up the mountain to get the Torah and to get the tablets. And Joshua's waiting for him at the foot of the mountain. The rest of the nation is in the camp, and Joshua's at the foot of the mountain waiting for Moshe to return. And Moshe spends 40 days in heaven, and at the end of the 40 days, God gives him the tablets, and he says, your nation has become corrupted. They're doing this in the golden calf. So he quickly runs down with the tablets, and he meets at the foot of the mountain, he meets Joshua. And Joshua says to him, there's a war going on in the camp. Can you hear those sounds? And Moshe says to him, no, it's not a sound of victors. It's not a sound of people who are losing a battle. It's a sound of distress. So again, Joshua hears sounds and wailing, and he makes a bold claim, there's a war, we have to hustle back. And Moshe says, no, you're wrong. It's not winning, it's not losing, there's something else going on. Again, Joshua brings the Torah, and he makes a claim turns out to be wrong. When is the third time that Joshua appears in the Torah? The third time is in Parshas Beha'aloscha, the last week's Parsha, the week before Shlach. Eldad and Medad, two prophets, are prophesying in the camp, and they are declaring before all, Moshe is going to die and Joshua is going to lead us into the land. And the lad runs to Moshe and tells him what's happening. And again, Joshua interjects and says, Adoni Moshe, Master Moshe, punish them, incarcerate them. These people are saying blasphemous things about you. And what does Moshe say? He says, no. Mi yitain, if only the whole nation would be prophets. I'd be so happy if everyone was like Eldad and Medad. So again, Joshua is presented with a situation. You have these two rogue prophets, and he has his prescription of what to do. And Moshe says, not only am I not going to punish them, I wish everyone was just like them. Again, Joshua's contribution is totally wrong. And finally, the fourth time he appears in the Torah, he is appointed as a check on the spies, and he utterly fails. So if you were to look at Joshua's history till now, you would say, you know what, he's probably not a very good candidate to be Moshe's successor. But what happens? He becomes Moshe's successor. And he becomes the second greatest leader of our history. Moshe's like the sun, and Joshua's like the moon. Number two, the undisputed number two of Jewish history as a leader is Joshua. How is it possible? We read a story, and we don't see tremendous competence, tremendous aptitude by Joshua. Yet he is going to be selected as Moshe's heir, as Moshe's successor. And yet the stories that the Torah chooses to highlight of Joshua's development are failure after failure after failure after failure. How is Joshua's story contributing to his ascent to leadership? So I think the lesson from this is a very valuable one to us. Joshua is the paragon of someone who is always learning and always improving. We're told from the time that the Exodus happened, there was only one person that never departed Moshe's side for 40 years, and that's Joshua. Joshua's always learning from Moshe, always learning. And you look at his beginning, it's not a scintillating success. And yet, by the time he's done, he is most qualified to be the great leader. What this tells us is that being flawless is actually not the best way to become a great leader. You'll learn a lot more from making a mistake and then learning and then readjusting and then recollaborating, recalibrating after you make a mistake, adjusting. That you learn a lot more from that process than when you nail it on the first time. Learning is this process of constant adjustments. You reflect, you introspect, you make an adjustment, and you improve. We're told Joshua is not exactly a unalloyed success from the beginning. He's not. And the Torah highlights that. But ultimately, he is the next greatest leader that we've had after Moses. How did that happen? That is the skill of Joshua. That's the ability of Joshua. He's never stopping to learn. In fact, these stories are the credentials of Joshua as a leader. You make a mistake. You realize you made a mistake. You realize you made a misjudgment. And you take that lesson and you affix that into your mind that actually changes you and improves you. Who is the exact opposite of Joshua? The exact opposite of Joshua. The exact opposite of Joshua is King Saul. Saul was that flawless straight A student. We're told from his shoulder and up, he was towering above the rest of his peers. He was the tallest, most handsome, most intelligent, most creative, most capable, greatest scholar, greatest sage. He was flawless. If you made a king in a lab, it would look like King Saul. How did that go? How was his reign? His reign was 2 years and he was deposed. What I found fascinating is the reason why Saul was deposed, he was deposed for making the exact same mistake that Joshua made. Joshua was told to have a war with Amalek. Saul was told to make a war with Amalek. Joshua weakened Amalek, didn't destroy them. Saul weakened Amalek, didn't destroy them. For Joshua, that is the first step of his ascent to leadership. For Saul, that is his death knell of his leadership. And there's the difference. The difference is that Saul is a complete product. He's a finished product. He's static. He is what he is. Joshua is dynamic. He is elastic. Sorry about that. I don't know how to turn this off. Sorry about that. There's like all kinds of stuff here, so I feel my office. Joshua is someone who is malleable. He's always learning. He's always by Moshe's side. Why are you by Moshe's side? Because you want to learn. And therefore he's improving. And if he has a chance to have a war with Amalek again, he wins completely. Saul is not taking the lessons of history, and therefore his ability to be a great king, to be a great leader, is limited. I think this is a very valuable lesson for us. I think this is maybe the most important lesson for us. It's not about who we are when we start our life. The fact that we fail, that is actually a feature, not a bug. Failure is a feature, not a bug. Failure is what caused Joshua to be someone who's great, because he's learning as he's stumbling his way through life. And over the course of 40 years, he's constantly correcting. By the time he's done, he's way better than Saul could ever dream of becoming. We're told that there's been 4 people in history that never sinned. That's what the Talmud says. 4 people in history never sinned. Who are they? Anyone knows who those 4 people who never sinned? Who are the 4 people who never sinned? No one knows?
It was Enosh. Was that his name from the?
Oh,
did I say his name right?
Hanoch? No, it's not Hanoch. The Talmud lists 4 people. Hanoch was called a tzaddik, but he's not one. He's not on this list.
One was Jesse.
That's right, Jesse, father of David.
That's all I know.
Was Elijah one?
Yeah.
No.
I thought the Bible says there's no one that doesn't sin. Or am I?
That's something very similar. It says there's no tzaddik in the land that does good and doesn't sin.
Okay.
Here's the list. This is how the Talmud says it. Talmud says, Jesse, father of David. Kilov, son of David. Benjamin, son of Jacob. Amram, father of Moshe. What it's telling us is the people that never sinned, all of them have blood relatives that did sin, and they were much greater than them. Because when you sin and you adjust, you become better net than someone who never sins. Amram never sinned. But who is his son? His son is Moshe. Moshe did sin. But Moshe adjusted, and therefore he became a greater leader than his father. Jesse, great guy. He's not David. Kilab, who's even heard of Kilab, the son of David? He was perfect, a specimen, never sinned. Sin is an opportunity, we're told here, to improve, to adjust, to recalibrate. Famous verse in scripture says that the righteous falls 7 times and gets up. Sheva yipol tzaddik v'kam. So we think that what this means is that even if someone falls, they get up. When someone's righteous, they're so righteous, even if they fall, they get up. That's what we think. It's not what it means. It's only because someone fell 7 times, only then can they become a tzaddik. Failure is a necessary step to greatness. It's a wild insight. Joshua, failure after failure after failure, this is his credentials because he's always adjusting, always improving. I think this is a very valuable lesson to us. We want to become righteous, and we look back maybe in our life and we say, you know what, made a bunch of mistakes. I don't have a perfect record. It's too late for that. I'm blemished forever. And here we discovered an idea that when someone has a mistake and then they use that as a way to improve, they adjust, they take the lesson home, they're actually better off than they were had they not done this sin to begin with. Okay, that's the lesson. What do y'all say?